Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Biafra Superstars Media. Today, it is sad, but it's a day that we can say, aha, we told you so. Those of you who believe in Nigeria, the Biafrans who love Nigeria, the Biafrans who assume that there is a mutual understanding, mutual relationship between you and the other tripods, what they call Wazobia. Today, while the man who declared MKO Abiola as the winner of June 12 is being planned to lay to rest, he's been denied his role in June 12. Not only that, Abiola, a man who we love, Chief MKO, Chief Moshood, Kashimawo, Olawale Abiola, a man we loved, a man who the Biafrans, the Igbos, we died in our hundreds, if not thousands, during the Saga of 1993, what they called also Abiola. We the Biafrans, we knew how we died for something that had nothing to do with us. But this same man you're about to hear from, he was the one who was there in the eyes of the storm. He saw how Biafrans were killed on their way back to Biafra land. Fellow Biafrans, I want you to please sit down and listen to the narrative given by our brother, the Biafran golden child, as he narrates his ordeal, going through what he went through during the time of the race for Abiola. They call it also Abiola. And he will speak about Professor Humphrey Nwosu. Today, as you've heard in that zoo, they have denied him the so-called accolade that the Igbo politicians are asking for. We told you so. The devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. What's so funny is that it's an Afonja man who denied him, who objected. Hence, we are telling you, give what belongs to the zoo, and to Biafra. Leave the affairs of Nigeria to Nigeria, and to Biafra. But many a time, these Igbo politicians keep on slowing us down, weighing us down, being a clog in the wheel of the Biafran progress. Very, very embarrassing. Today, Abaribe and the rest of them, what have you got to say with your so-called love, affection you have for Nigeria? You believe in Nigeria. Today, your number one man, Professor Humphrey Nwosu, who officiated the freest and fairest election according to the history of that zoo called Nigeria. They've insulted him. I won't be the one to break this one down. So please, ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax. Permit me as I present to you the Biafran golden child for an in-depth analysis on this story, this new brewing story coming up about Professor Humphrey Nwosu and the Nigerian dilemma. To the Biafran politicians, we told you so. We told you so. This is just the beginning. They know Biafra is gone. So what the hell are you doing in the house of Pharaoh? You want the accolades from Nigeria because you love Nigeria. Nigeria has blessed you. You are now a multi-millionaire because of your politics and shenanigans you are doing in that zoo called Nigeria. Lord have mercy. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women all across the world, without any much further ado, I present to you the Biafran golden child, the real Biafran, golden child. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're hearing my voice from. This is the Biafran Golden Child, and today I want to make an audio that I consider very, very important, very, very relevant, and you must hear from every Biafran. Yes, this audio, let me go straight to the point, is strictly about the recent attempt uh, by Senator Abaribe to send a bill, recommend a bill in the Senate that would immortalize Professor Humphrey Nwosu, the INEC chairman during the former President Babangida administration, especially the 1993 election. Yes, Professor Humphrey Nwosu, in case you don't remember, is an Igbo man, a Biafran, who championed one of the best elections that was described as freest and fairest. His election that he umpired has been described as the freest and fairest election that Nigeria ever had. Yes, and the gentleman was the one who brought this option A4 technology. He brought the option A4 technology into Nigerian political system. And he felt that when that option A4 would bring about sincerity, would bring about transparency, would bring about, you know, a dependable and reliable result. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Humphrey Nwosu unfortunately died early hours of this, early uh, months of this year. And today actually begins his final journey to the great beyond. Yes, but Senator Abaribe from Abia North, actually proposed a bill at the Senate where he told them that he thought this gentleman should be given a special mention, should be immortalized for having umpired the freest and fairest election, even though that election was finally annulled by the Babangida administration. Head of state then, military president Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you can imagine the uproar, the hate speech, and the very negative attitude the senators put. Yes, their response to the bill to immortalize Humphrey Nwosu, Professor Humphrey Nwosu, was very, very negative. They gave a resounding nay, nay. We're not going to give him, we're not going to immortalize him, we're not going to give him any special medal. And so they threw that bill out of the, floor. They threw it through the window, out of the window, like hot charcoal. Ladies and gentlemen, you might not realize where this is going to, but the fact of the matter is, if we realize that Professor Humphrey Nwosu, a professor of political science, a man who umpired, the new transition uh, during the President Babangida administration, when President Babangida wanted to transmit to a civilian president, having served 8 years as a military head of state. The whole world clamored against it. The whole country clamored against it. And everybody said, no, you have served 8 years as a military head of state. You were the one who toppled uh, uh, head of state then, uh, 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 Buhari, Muhammadu Buhari. You toppled him and you promised us you were taking us back to civilian rule. Then you have come now, this is 8 years after, you want to transmit, transform, and metaphors to a civilian president. No, we will not have that. And so when it's felt, when President, head of state Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida felt that he wasn't going to get his, military, his civilian presidency, to rule Nigeria for another, maybe to become a life president. He decided to orchestrate, a return to civilian rule. And the person that was appointed was none other than Professor Humphrey Nwosu, Professor of Political Science on the University of Nigerian Soccer. Of course, the gentleman did his job well. He proposed option A4, which he fully implemented. And of course, the election went well. It went well the whole Nigeria. It went well. It was applauded by international community. It was applauded by the Commonwealth. It was applauded by those who came to, oversee the election, international observers. It was applauded by the ECOWAS. It was applauded by the Organization of African Unity. It was applauded by all the political parties. Of course, the main two political parties then was the SDP and the NROC, Social Democratic Party and the Nigerian National Reconstruction Party. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's worth knowing that this gentleman, during his active service, when he attempted, to release the results, haven't gotten the full, electoral votes, haven't gotten the full results. He wanted to announce the winner. He has started announcing the electoral results when he was humiliated, he was abused, he was manhandled, and he was assaulted by the military gentleman who was slapped, beaten, threatened, and his life was threatened. And he was forced, not to announce, not to make any further announcements. But the announcement so far that he made, from the announcement so far that he made, uh, Chief Moshood Abiola was already topping. Chief Moshood Abiola, MKO, was already topping the chart. MKO was the presidential candidate of the SDP, and his running mate was Babangida Kingiwe, both Muslims. They were leading, they were topping the results when, from nowhere, uh, the military senior ranking officer, I may not want to call his name, came into the office and started, humiliating Professor Humphrey Nwosu. He was slapped, he was kicked, he was beaten, severally. In fact, I heard his clothes were torn, and he was asked to do frog jump. A professor of political science, a man of with a great intellectual height, was reduced, to a houseboy by a military man whose only attempt at education was probably the military school that he went to. So, ladies and gentlemen, this man was brutalized, humiliated, and then manhandled, abused, misused, and threatened. So, of course, he had to shut up, and the election results was finally annulled. It is only recently, in fact, this January, when former military president Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida came, wrote his memo, the journey of service, the journey of service, where he came and commented on the June 12th election. Yes, 1993 election. Yes, former head of state Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida made a very, very, excuse me, made a very, very unexpected, remark. Disclosures. He shocked everybody. He threw an earthquake, a bombshell, when he said the 1993 elections was won free and fair by Alhaji Moshood Kashimawo Abiola of the SDP and his vice, yes, Alhaji Babagana Kingigwe. They won it free and fair, but the powers that be did not want them. The powers that be, especially within the military, did not want them. And that election, according to President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida was vigorously opposed by none other than uh, General Sani Abacha, who eventually became, a head of state of this country after toppling uh, Chief Shoneko, that was put as an interim president by the Babangida administration. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to tell you the history of 1993. I'm not here to tell you about the history of the 1993 election, the June 12th election. No, I'm here to tell you further expatiate on the plight of the Biafrans, the plight of the Igbo man. Yes, when we talk about the plight of the Biafrans, when Mazen and the Kanu talk about how the Igbo man, the Biafran man, is subjected to very terrible situations in this country, how the Biafran man is treated with contempt, how nothing good is expected from him, nothing good is given to him, no matter how good, no matter how well he distinguishes himself. You can see the results so far. When our Prime Minister Simon Ekwan Joko will be talking vigorously, shouting himself hoarse, talking about the maltreatment, the subjugation and marginalization of the Igbo people, of the Biafran people. A lot of people said he's not being realistic. And when our current Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Ngozi Orabueze, comes out to say, look, we have discovered that in this junta called Nigeria, in this zoo, anything concerning the Igbo man, anything concerning the Biafra man is treated with contempt, is treated with neglect, is done as if, good rubbish, as if it's it's rubbish. It shouldn't even be brought to the fore. You can imagine a man who, spearheaded and umpired a very strategic election that would have marked a return to civilian rule after several years of military misrule. I mean, uh, President Muhammadu Buhari toppled the election of, I mean, the he toppled the presidency, civilian presidency of Shehu Shagari, Laji Shehu Shagari, toppled him. He was there for several years until eventually uh, he was thrown away by another military putsch, this time led by Babangida and co. Sani Abacha, Babangida and co. You know, you can imagine after that long stretch, and President Babangida, head of state Babangida, eventually said, "I want to bring it back to civilian rule. I want us to go back to civilian rule," because he has realized that his attempt to become a life president had failed. His attempt to transmit, to metamorphose into, a civilian president had failed, having ruled, 8 years as a military head of state. So he appointed Professor Humphrey Nwosu, to, umpire, to midwife that election. And the gentleman came up and brought his option A4 technique, which he avowed, which he told us, campaigned vigorously, stipulated vigorously that he was going to, checkmate fraud, rigging, malpractices, and a whole lot of problems associated with other forms of elections. This Professor Wansi said, I bring in option A4 and I guarantee everybody will want to thank me later. Fortunately, it was a thankless job. Fortunately, when he finished the election, that was described as the fairest, election, the best election, the fairest and most reliable election in Nigeria so far, he was not thanked by anybody. Rather than being thanked, he was beaten, he was harassed, he was humiliated, he was manhandled, and of course, he was assaulted by a common military personnel on the auspices, on the command of the then military head of state, uh, uh, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. Now, this is years later. Years later, the gentleman, the professor had died. And since he died, in fact, the President Babangida, Babangida, former two-time head of state of Nigeria, did not reveal his memos while Professor Humphrey was alive. He waited. As soon as the man had died, he came on air. He launched his memo, which is titled "The Journey of service, the journey of service. When he launched that book, several billions were realized because he launched, establishment of his library. Yes, he had a library in mind and he launched it. And of course, his political acolytes, the people who said he changed their lives, the people who said they benefited from his government, came up and, vigorously donated to the project. To such end, he made over 6 billion naira. 6 billion naira was realized from that donation. But among the revelations from that is memo was the fact that Professor Humphrey Nwosu did a yeoman's job, a very wonderful job, and in fact, he deserved to be praised. And he's sorry the way the manner the man was humiliated and assaulted and threatened, almost killed while performing his legitimate duties. He said he's sorry, and he had hoped he would have had an opportunity to apologize to Professor Humphrey Nwosu, but he was saddened to hear that the man had died. Ladies and gentlemen, this same proposal was made, taken over to, the House of Assembly, and another, Igbo man, this time a senator, this time a four-time senator, Senator Abaribe, stood up and proposed the bill. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, you have all heard what has been said by the former military head of state, uh, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, how he had judged the June 12th election as the fairest, the most reliable, and hitch-free, and fraud-free, and rigging-free election. And you also heard how he said that the umpire at that election, Professor Humphrey Nwosu, was a humble man, an intelligent man who did his job without fear or favor, who did a complete, and effective job of umpiring that election, which would have midwifed uh, uh, Alaji MKO Abiola of the SDP and his vice, Babagana Kingibe, as the presidents of this country and vice president, respectively. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, because Abaribe was an Igbo man, of course, because the name he touted, he proposed to be immortalized, was that of a Biafra, an Igbo man, Professor Humphrey Nwosu. The whole house went aghast. The whole house were flabbergasted and annoyed. That pathological hatred against the Igbo, that pathological psychotic hatred against the Igbo and everything Biafra came to the fore, and he was vigorously, vociferously shouted upon to sit down, Enyinnaya Baribe. You have nothing good to say, sit down. We are not immortalizing any person. Humphrey Nwosu cannot be immortalized. Who is he? This is the same Senate that immortalizes, that gives all kinds of recognitions, all kinds of honors, all kinds of medals to people who don't deserve anything. Everywhere. Today they are changing the name of a stadium. Tomorrow they're changing the name of an airport. Tomorrow they're changing the name of a university. You know, given to people of, dubious, dubious personalities, dubious achievements. But because now they were told to recognize an Igbo man, to recognize, the astute, the effective, and the highly, motivational, and immensely uh, uh, stupendous and highly magnificent work done by Professor Humphrey Nwosu. They said, nay, 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 we're not going to do that. Throw that out of the floor of the Senate. Let's talk of more important things. Ladies and gentlemen, when we tell you that the Igbo man does not belong to this country, you people think we're teasing. You people think we're just engaging in a hallucination. You people think we're just talking for talking's sake. When we tell you that the average Yoruba man does not like you, the average Hausa man has a pathological hatred for you. They have a jealousy that makes them hate anything Igbo, hate anything Biafra. You think we're joking? How can you imagine that the whole Professor Humphrey Nwosu, whose burial arrangements, in fact, his burial starts today, is going from now, moving to the great beyond from today. And there was this request to please let us recognize this man Let us recognize his effort. Even though that election was annulled, this man did a very commendable job. He brought in the option A for technique into our election dictionary. He brought option A for into our lexicon in this country, and he did. He umpired free, fair, and worldwide acclaimed, reliable election. So what is all this about? The whole thing boils down to the hatred for the Biafra. So, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Biafrans, this audio is to remind us to know who we are. Who are you? Who are you, my fellow Biafrans? Always know who you are. You are somebody hated by people you stay with in the same country. I mean, Nigeria from amalgamation, 1914, by Lord Lugard, when he brought the southern and northern protectorates together. Even we moved on. In 1960, Nigeria got independence, and our people, Biafrans, fought vigorously, lost their lives, to make sure they chase away the British Jack from Nigeria, to raise our own Nigerian flag. Our people fought for this country, for the unity of this country. But alas, how did they pay us? Of course, they didn't pay us well. The same way they don't want to acknowledge Professor Humphrey Nwosu. The same way they don't want to tell him thank you, even though they have heard the truth. Heard the truth from former President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, the man who wrote his memo and said Professor Humphrey Nwosu has umpired the best so far election in this country. It was free and fair. International communities confirmed it. The international observers confirmed it. The ECOWAS confirmed it. The OAU confirmed it. United Nations confirmed it. And yet, when his name was mentioned in the House of Assembly for a special recognition, this man is going back. He's going to the great beyond. Let us put a little happiness in his bones. Even though he's no more alive, let his children say, yes, our father served this country and he was meritoriously rewarded. Let all those who know him say, yes, this professor did a great job. And even though he's not alive, he was rewarded at death. Unfortunately, the National Assembly said, no, throw that bill, throw it away out of this floor of the Senate. And they booed Senator Abaribe. They booed him. They bullied him. Sit down, Mr. Man. If you don't have anything to say, you shut up. Don't come here and talk about a hopeless man who, who we don't even know what he achieved in life. This is a professor of political science. This is the INEC chairman, the chairman of INEC in 1993, who umpired the famous election. Yeah, yes, this famous June 12th election. They have granted June 12th holiday. They have made June 12th a holiday in this country. Yes, they did. And yet, they don't want to even give the man a posthumous uh, merit or recognition. My fellow Biafrans, it saddens my heart. I heard this and I was blinded with rage. I was filled with rage and compassion. How can a people be hated so much? How can my people be hated so much in this zoo called Nigeria? What did we do to the Hausa people? What did we do to the Yoruba people? Why are they treating us like second fiddle? Why are they saying nothing good will come back from Igbo man? Why are they saying the Igbo man cannot aspire for anything good in this country? Why are they saying we cannot benefit from this country? That we have done so much, to create, to survive, and to develop to this extent. Why is the Igbo man treated like a conquered people? Like a conquered people? Why are we treated like an outcast? It's a shame, big shame. And yet, a lot of us are still playing the ostrich. A lot of us Igbo people, a lot of us Biafrans are still dancing to their rhythms, still calling them our, treating these people who oppress you, these people who hate you as demigods. Why would somebody like Professor Humphrey Nwosu, the professor of political science, who umpired, the best election so far in this country, not be recognized, even posthumously, because he's an Igbo man? The Igbos have said, if you don't want us, let us go. And they said, no, they are fighting us. They've arrested our Mazimon leader, Mazinam the Kanu, put him, torturing him in the DSS dungeon. Today, trial, tomorrow, no trial. Today, judge High Court judge will say, I'm recusing myself. Tomorrow they'll bring another judge. All in a bid to frustrate him. All in a bid to make him, redundant. All in a bid to make sure anything from the southeast, anything from Biafra does not see the light of day. Nothing good, according to them, will ever come from Biafra. But they are not our God. No, they are not our God. They have arrested, conspired, bribed. Yes, bribed the Finnish authorities, to arrest Simon Epa in Joko in Finland, clamped all sort of charges, and they were clinking champagne glasses here, begging the Finnish authorities to send him, bring him back to Nigeria, let us finish him. Bring him back to Nigeria, let us destroy him. That is what they were saying about a human being, about a man whose only sin was that he was telling the world that my people have suffered enough. Enough is enough. If you don't want the Igbo man in your country, if you don't want the Southeast, let us form our Biafra. Let Biafra go. Let us have our United States of Biafra. Let us have our own region. They said, no, you will not go. And yet they will not want you to grow. Ladies and gentlemen, this audio makes me shed tears. It's only for those who have discerning eyes, discerning hearts, discerning minds. Otherwise, you will not be aware of what is happening. You will not be aware of the extent of the hatred, the pathological hatred for the Igbo man. What have we done to them? What have the Biafra man done to Nigeria? Let us go, no. Let us stay and develop, no. What do you want us to do? They're almost between 1966, 67, 68, 69, 70, almost through genocide, wiped away every Biafran from the face of the earth, claiming that we were the ones who spearheaded the January 1966 coup, a coup that was headed by Major Kaduna and Zogo. Yes, Zogo is a Delta man, but of course, they said that coup was to favor the Igbo people, that the coup was orchestrated by the Igbo people. But of course, the same head of state, military head of state, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, came up in his memos and said that coup, that Nzogu coup, was actually not for the benefit of the Igbos. What that Nzogu coup planned was to install Chief Obafemi Awolowo, as, a concessional president. They wanted to make him, free him from the Calabar prisons and make him, a concessional president. It was never for the Igbo. In fact, the Igbos fought vigorously. Most Igbo officers were killed because they wanted to prevent the coup. This is a startling revelation. Everybody has heard it. And when we told them, apologize to the Igbo, apologize to the Igbo for saying a lot of lies against them, of course, even the House of Reps, the House of Senate became silent. Nobody wants to say good about the Igbo people. Nobody wants to applaud the Igbo people because they say the Igbo people are arrogant. They are full of themselves. You give them an inch, they want a mile. You give them one house, they want the whole community. But of course, we believe in Yahweh. Nothing is impossible. The more they hate us, the more they try to destroy us, the more they try to subjugate us. We're expanding. We're expanding from a mere paltry 20 pounds after the Civil War. Mere paltry 20 pounds after the Civil War. The Igbo people have come up to become captains of industry. They are the leaders of imports and exports. Today, they are estates, they own estates, they own all kinds of business, they run maritime business, massive maritime business in this country. Today, the Igbo man is at the apex of the economic ladder of Nigeria. So no matter what they do, no matter how they hate us, no matter what they do, like the Jews in Israel, no matter how you try, to exterminate them, to destroy them, you're wasting your time. Because like the mustard seed, a very tiny seed, they will grow into a mighty, mighty tree. That's what the Igbo people are like. Try to destroy us, hate us, prevent us from coming into our glory. You will never succeed. Because of course, the God that we serve is the God that answered by fire. The God of the Israelites, Yahweh, the beginning and the end, the Alpha, the Omega, the Alpha and Omega, the omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent God. Nothing can deter the Igbo man from achieving his God-given opportunities, whether they like it or not. They didn't recognize Professor Humphrey Nwosu when he was alive. They felt he doesn't deserve any immortalization. No medals. No medals because he's an Igbo man. No medals for a Biafran man. But no problem. No problem. In our minds, Professor Humphrey Nwosu is a giant. He's an achiever. He's a man who has gotten all the medals, all the medallions that he wants. Let them continue. But we'll give them a message. If you don't let us go peacefully, the person, the group, the country, the individuals who make peaceful change impossible ask for violent change. They make peaceful change impossible, you make violent change inevitable. That is what I will tell them. You can take something from a child, you raise up your hand for as long as you want. But the moment that hand is paining you, you bring it down, and the child takes what you are owing and runs away. You can chase the fowl. They say you keep chasing the fowl. The fowl's own is to keep running. Indeed, we will continue to run. When you get tired, we'll go and rest. You can never destroy us. Yes, you can never destroy us. We are not ignorant of the devices of the enemy. Chinua Achebe has said it, that every Igbo man must be aware. Be aware of where the rain started beating you. Because if you don't know where the rain started beating you, you not know where it stopped on you. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is enough for the wise. Let us not be ignorant of the devices of the enemy. Let us be aware that we are sleeping with enemies. We are living with enemies. People who pretend they love you, but all they have for you is hatred. People who will never appreciate you. People who will never tell you thank you. People who, if they see an opportunity to wipe you off, they will never, never let that opportunity pass by. But of course, Israelites are living with their enemies in Palestine. Yes, in Gaza. But we can see today that no matter how they gang up against the Israelites, no matter how they try to exterminate them, they cannot, because one with God is majority. Indeed, God is with us. Biafrans, God is with us, and we are majority. Ladies and gentlemen, let me stop here. I hope this audio makes sense to you. I don't want to dwell much on it, but the word is enough for the wise. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Biafra must be restored, for there is nothing the enemies can do about it. You brought Biafra that light may come into Africa. You gave us hope because we are in a continent of hopelessness. And by thy grace, Biafra shall be restored. We shall be resurrected. We shall crown our efforts with the glory by the grace of the Most High Himself. We are not strong. We do not pretend to be strong. All we do is to submit ourselves to your will, that your will may be done upon our lives. We have lost many people. We have lost so many good people. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. We shall honor them, and for their sake, Biafra will come. Because we are wandering all over the world, hoping against every hope that things will turn around for the better. It has never turned around for the better. Instead, it is getting worse. Please do not abandon your children. You have given us a commission, and we must accomplish it in our lifetime. Our enemies are equally important because they must listen. Those who do not love the truth must listen. Those who are beholden to darkness, they must also listen. For we are here to bring light upon a very darkened continent without Biafra. Africa is nothing without Biafra. There is no difference between a black man and a wild animal in the forest. We say every shred, with every ounce of conviction. I welcome each and every one of you. If you're joining us for the very first time, this is Radio Biafra. This is how we do it. We magnify the name of the Most High before we do anything. That is why we are exceptionally formidable. That is why